The remains of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI are now in the former tomb of Pope St. John Paul II, underneath St. Peter's Basilica. Thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square today to witness the funeral of the former pope, celebrated by the current pope, something that hasn't happened in more than 200 years. ABC News senior national correspondent Terry Moran tells us more about this unprecedented event for the modern Catholic Church.
Tens of thousands from all over the world gathered in St. Peter's Square, praying, remembering, here for the funeral of Pope Benedict XVI. The coffin brought into the great square, and Pope Francis presiding and delivering the homily. Speaking of the gratitude the Church has for Benedict's life, it was the first time in centuries that a pope has laid his predecessor to rest. Before he died, Benedict made clear he wanted a simple ceremony, but simple in the Vatican does not mean small, especially for a former pope. Many cardinals and other religious leaders from around the world attending, and some political leaders, delegations from Italy and Germany, along with the leaders of Poland and Hungary and royalty, too. When Pope John Paul II died, there were more than 1 million people here in Rome, but Benedict had withdrawn from public view after he resigned. But for the faithful here and for so many more around the world, this is a profound moment of sadness and yet a fond farewell, too. Cardinal Timothy Dolan, the Archbishop of New York, in attendance, too, telling me about the man he knew so well.
His legacy as a pope, what would you say it is?
The intellectual, the reason, but yet a man of such durable faith. He brought them both together. I think that's going to be his legacy.
And the fact that he resigned the papacy.
There you go. A very brave act, which at the time, I have to admit, left me saddened and even a bit disappointed, because I thought, look, Holy Father, even if you are weakened and fragile, even if you can't do everything, we still need you. But the longer it went on, I admired that humility.
And Terry Moran joins me live now from the Vatican. Terry, what's it like there today? Because the faithful there are not only mourning the loss of a leader, but also witnessing history.
They are. It is this historic event. It hasn't happened in centuries, where a reigning pope presides over the funeral of his predecessor, and that is remarkable. And it was also a moment for the 50,000 people who were here to remember Pope Benedict with respect as a great teacher and defender of church doctrine, but also, and I think this would surprise him, with fondness when they carried his casket into the Basilica to be entombed. There was a wave of applause that swept across the great square, and I think people here, Benedict was not possessed of the great charisma that his predecessor John Paul II had, or the human touch that Pope Francis has, but people really appreciated who he was and what he did for the church, especially conservative Catholics who really supported him in his defense of traditional church doctrine.
Now, Terry, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops has called for 9 days of prayer in memory of Pope Benedict starting today. So how will that work, and how else is he being remembered?
Well, that'll work throughout parishes in the United States, and there are similar things happening around the world. The passing of a pope is an opportunity for the faithful to take stock of his contributions. And Benedict left 65 books and encyclicals and apostolic letters. He was a fine writer and a deep thinker who was very clear in talking about difficult things. So I think that's one way. And then also, I think you see in Pope Francis the warmth of their relationship. I think a lot of Americans don't know that Pope Francis at this point he's very challenged in his mobility. He gets around in a wheelchair, he's able to stand and take a few steps. And his goodbye, I thought, was also very tender in a way. He had grown very close to Pope Benedict. The two were classical music fans, and I'm told they used to trade recordings with each other. Pope Francis visiting Pope Benedict every time before Pope Francis went overseas, just to talk over the issues. He said it was like having a wise old grandfather in the Vatican to whom he could turn for advice and counsel. And so I think it's a loss for him and for so many others. Diane?
All right, Terry Moran, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.